Your future isn't something you stumble upon. It's not a treasure buried under someone else's success map. It's not hidden in a classroom, in a job, in a relationship, or in someone else's approval. Your future is something you build, one small, intentional decision at a time. And if you're sitting there waiting for a sign, for a stroke of luck, for someone to notice you or give you permission, then let this be your wake-up call. The only permission you need is your own. No one is going to show up at your door and hand you the life you dream of. You have to build it. You have to decide that today, right now, you're the architect of your own life. Too many people grow up being told that the future is something you prepare for, like it's already written, like it's something you just walk into if you play your cards right. But let me tell you the truth. The future is not found, it's made. You don't discover it. You create it through your choices, through your effort, through your discipline, and through the uncomfortable moments that no one else sees. And here's the deal. Building something from scratch is hard. It's messy. It's uncertain. There are days you'll doubt yourself, days you'll feel like quitting, and days when no one else believes in your dream. And that's okay. That's part of it. Because greatness isn't born in comfort. It's built in struggle. It's carved out of every single day you show up for your goals, even when it would be easier to give up. It's forged in the small, quiet moments when you decide to do the hard thing because you know it matters. Stop waiting to feel ready. Ready is a lie. Confidence is a result, not a prerequisite. The truth is, most of the people you admire didn't have it all figured out when they started. They didn't wait for the perfect timing. They acted. They failed. They learned. They kept going. They built something brick by brick while the rest of the world waited for permission. You don't get the life you want by wishing for it. You get it by building it, by making decisions that align with where you want to go, not where you are now. And sometimes that means doing the uncomfortable thing. It means choosing growth over fear, purpose over procrastination, discipline over distraction. Look at your life. Every part of it, the good, the bad, the frustrating, the inspiring, it's all a result of past decisions. That's not meant to make you feel guilty. That's meant to empower you. Because if your past decisions created this, then your next decisions can create something different, something better. So ask yourself, what kind of future do I want? Not just what you hope for, not just what sounds good, but what are you willing to work for? What are you willing to fight for? Because that's where your future begins, not in your dreams, in your discipline. And no, it won't be easy, but it will be worth it. You'll start to feel it, one win at a time, one new habit, one honest conversation, one risk, one tiny step forward when everyone else would have sat back down. That's how you build a life. Not all at once, not with one big breakthrough, but with 100 small decisions that add up to something extraordinary. Your future is your responsibility. That's not a burden, it's a gift. It means you get to choose. You get to direct the movie, write the story, lead the journey. And the world doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to start. So don't wait. Don't wait for someone to choose you. Choose yourself, and then get to work. Because your future isn't hiding somewhere out there. It's waiting to be built by you. We live in a world that puts a lot of pressure on figuring everything out before we take the first step. We're constantly told to plan, to strategize, to have the full vision mapped out. We believe that before we can start building a business, changing careers, going after a goal, or making a big life shift, we need clarity. We need certainty. We need to know what the outcome will be. But here's what no one tells you. Clarity doesn't come from thinking about something endlessly. It doesn't come from talking it through 100 times with friends or waiting until you're ready. Clarity comes from action, from doing, from moving, from trying. You can sit on your couch for months trying to think your way into the perfect decision, and you'll still be stuck in the same place. Why? Because real clarity only shows up when you take a step. The answers you're searching for, the direction you're desperate to find, it's not in your head, it's in the doing. That means you have to be willing to take action before you have it all figured out. You have to start walking down the path even if you can't see the entire road ahead. That's where most people freeze. They think, well, that idea you've been holding on to because you're afraid it's not quite perfect yet. You need to start anyway. Because motion creates momentum, and momentum builds clarity. When you try something, anything, You give yourself real data to work with. You learn what you like, what you don't, what works, what doesn't. You begin to understand yourself in a way that no amount of overthinking can ever deliver. Let's say you're thinking about changing careers. You've been stuck in your current job for years, knowing deep down it's not right for you. But you tell yourself, I don't know what else I want to do. So you wait and wait. You keep hoping that some lightning bolt of inspiration will hit and you'll suddenly know the answer. But that's not how it works. You won't find the next chapter of your life by sitting still. You find it by doing something new. Take a class, volunteer, shadow someone, start a side project. One tiny action can open up an entirely new world for you, and in that motion you gain clarity. Not just about your career, but about who you are and what you're capable of. We think we need to be confident before we move, but in reality, it's movement that builds confidence. You build belief in yourself by proving to yourself that you can take the step, even when it's scary, even when it's uncertain. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you send yourself a powerful message. I trust myself enough to try, and that changes everything. It's easy to get trapped in the loop of analysis paralysis, where you spend so much time trying to make the right move that you never move at all. But let me remind you, not moving is a decision. Waiting around for the perfect plan is the fastest way to waste your potential. If you don't know the next step, take any step. That movement will teach you more than years of hesitation never could. Even failure brings clarity, especially failure. When something doesn't work, you don't just learn what to avoid, you learn what matters to you. You learn where your true motivation comes from. You get honest with yourself in ways that success can't always provide, and all of that insight becomes fuel for what's next. The people you look up to, the ones doing big, bold things with their lives, they didn't start with perfect clarity. They started with a little curiosity and a whole lot of courage. They moved. They experimented. They trusted that if they took one step, the next one would show up. And it did. So don't sit there waiting for your future to become crystal clear before you act. The clarity you're waiting for is on the other side of the action you're avoiding. Take the step, trust the process, learn as you go. Because doing leads to discovery, and discovery builds direction. Always. You have about 5 seconds. 5 seconds between the moment you have an instinct, a gut feeling, an impulse to act on something meaningful, and the moment your brain talks you out of it. That's it. 5 seconds. That tiny window is where change happens. It's where your life shifts, where momentum begins, and where courage is born. And if you don't take action in those 5 seconds, your brain kicks in, your fears take over, and you default back to safety. That's how we sabotage our own progress again and again, not because we're lazy or incapable, but because we hesitate. And hesitation is the death of opportunity. Here's how it works. You're sitting at your desk and suddenly the idea hits you. Email that person, pitch that idea, speak up in the meeting. You feel it in your gut. You know it matters. But what do? You pause, you think, you analyze, and in that moment, doubt creeps in. What if it's a bad idea? What if they say no? What if I look stupid? Boom, gone. The opportunity passes. And this happens to people all day, every day. Not because we don't know what to do, but because we don't do it. The 5-second rule changes everything. It's simple. When you have an instinct to act on something that could change your life, you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you move. That's it. No debate. No hesitation. You count backward and launch yourself into action because the moment you start thinking, fear takes the wheel. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not to help you grow. It sees anything unfamiliar as a threat. So that idea you had, that dream you're chasing, that step you're afraid to take, your brain is doing its job by trying to stop you. But that doesn't mean you have to listen. Courage doesn't feel like confidence. Courage feels like doing it scared, and the only way you build courage is by practicing it. Over and over again in those 5-second windows, you don't need to overhaul your entire life in a day. You just need to get good at winning those tiny moments. Get out of bed when the alarm goes off. Hit send on the email, ask the question, speak up, step forward. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, you're not stuck because you're broken. You're stuck because you've trained yourself to hesitate, and hesitation is a habit. a deeply ingrained pattern of waiting, delaying, and overthinking. But here's the good news. Habits can be broken, and they're broken by action, repetition, intention. Every time you beat hesitation, you teach your brain a new way to respond. You build momentum, and momentum compounds. One win leads to another. One brave decision today sets the stage for bolder action tomorrow. Think about all the things you want to change in your life. Your health, your career, your relationships, your confidence. It's not that you don't know what to do. You do. But knowing doesn't change your life. Doing does. And doing starts with a decision. A tiny act of courage. 5 seconds of boldness that interrupts the cycle of fear and replaces it with power. This isn't about being fearless. It's about doing it anyway. That's how change actually works. You don't need a perfect plan. You need to start. You need to stop arguing with yourself about whether you're ready or qualified or good enough. You are. You're more than enough. But you'll never find out what you're truly capable of if you keep hesitating every time your instincts push you forward. So the next time you feel the nudge, the spark to move, speak, try, create, don't wait, don't negotiate. Count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Launch yourself. Trust yourself. Because everything you want is on the other side of that moment. Your dream, your potential, your purpose. It's not hiding. It's waiting. And all it takes is 5 seconds of courage to meet it. Excuses sound reasonable. They feel protective. They sneak in quietly and disguise themselves as logic, responsibility, or caution. But the truth is, most of the excuses you tell yourself aren't facts, they're fear. They're stories you've repeated so often that you've started to believe them. And here's the hard truth. Every time you make an excuse, you're not just avoiding action, you're giving your power away. Think about the things you say when you're avoiding a challenge. I don't have time. I'm too tired. I'm not ready. I'll start tomorrow. Those aren't just harmless thoughts. They're tiny lies that keep you from moving forward. And the more you say them, the more they become your reality. You're not lacking time, you're avoiding discipline. You're not lacking energy. You're drowning in distraction. You're not waiting for the right moment. You're just scared to start. Excuses feel safe because they protect you from risk, from failure, from judgment. But they also protect you from growth, from change, from your future. And let's be clear, this isn't about guilt. It's about awareness. Everyone makes excuses. It's human. But the people who create real change in their lives are the ones who recognize those excuses as excuses and refuse to let them run the show. They interrupt the pattern. They catch themselves in the moment and choose differently. That's where transformation starts. Not in a massive breakthrough, but in small moments of honesty. Excuses are like walls. They block the path between where you are and where you want to go. And the longer you lean on them, the stronger they get. But here's the powerful part. Those walls, you built them. And that means you can break them down. Every time you challenge an excuse, you chip away at that wall. You take back control. You stop being a victim of your circumstances and start becoming the creator of your life. Look at your goals, the things you say you want. A healthier body, a better job, a stronger mindset, a side hustle, a dream you've had for years. Now ask yourself, why haven't you started? Or why haven't you followed through? The answer is usually some version of an excuse. It's not the right time. What if I fail? I don't know where to begin. But you do know. Deep down, you know exactly what needs to happen next. The problem isn't knowledge, it's permission. You're waiting for permission to do something hard, to do something uncertain. And your excuses are the gatekeepers of that permission. But let me tell you something. You don't need permission. You need a decision. That's it. You don't have to wait until Monday. You don't need a new planner or a new year or someone cheering you on. You need to decide that your goals matter more than your comfort. Because your comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. It's predictable. It's familiar. But it's also where dreams go to die. The longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to leave. Excuses thrive in that space. They get louder, more convincing. Until one day you look up and realize that your entire life has been delayed by reasons that were never real to begin with. The truth is, action kills excuses. When you move, even in a small way, the excuse loses its grip. You prove to yourself that you can show up even when it's not perfect, that you can make progress even when you're not motivated, that you can keep going even when it's hard. And that kind of self-trust, that's what builds a future. Excuses don't go away on their own. You have to face them. You have to call them out for what they are. Fear dressed up as logic. The next time you hear yourself saying, I can't, change it to I won't, that tiny shift in language is uncomfortable, but it's honest. And with honesty comes responsibility. When you own your choices, you take the power back. You're not too busy. You're not too late. You're not too broken. You're just one decision away from a completely different life. So stop lying to yourself. Stop stalling your progress with stories that keep you small. You don't need a new excuse. You need a new standard, a new mindset, a new voice in your head that says, I'm done holding myself back. Because you weren't meant to live a life built on avoidance. You are meant to build a life based on intention. And that life, it starts the moment you stop making excuses and start making moves. You have dreams. Big ones. Big ones. Things you think about when you're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering what your life could look like if you just had the courage to go after what you truly want. And in those quiet moments, you feel it. That fire in your gut, that spark of excitement. You imagine the life you could have, the person you could become. But then the fear creeps in. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm not good enough? Let me tell you something you need to hear. Fear is normal. It's not a sign that you're weak or broken or unprepared. It's a sign that you're stepping into something bigger than yourself, something unfamiliar, something meaningful. Fear shows up every time you try to grow because it's your brain's way of protecting you. But the problem is, your brain isn't wired to help you succeed. It's wired to help you survive. And survival mode doesn't care about your dreams. It only cares about comfort, safety, and predictability. So if you're waiting for the fear to go away before you act, you'll be waiting forever. The truth is, fear never fully disappears. It just gets quieter the more you move forward. You don't overcome fear by thinking about it. You overcome it by doing the very thing that scares you again and again. Every single person you admire, every success story you've ever heard, started with someone who was scared and did it anyway. You have to stop treating fear like a stop sign. Fear is not a reason to quit. It's a signal that you're about to do something important, something that matters. And the only way to build the life you want is to stop letting fear call the shots. You cannot lead a bold life while making safe choices. Growth and fear go hand in hand. Every next level of your life will require a stronger version of you. And that version is only revealed when you walk through your fear, not around it. Let me be real with you. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess things up. That's part of the process. Failure isn't a sign that you're on the wrong path. It's proof that you're on the path, that you're actually in the game, that you're trying. And every time you fail, you learn, you grow, you get stronger. Fear wants you to believe that failure is the end of the story. But the truth is, failure is the beginning of your comeback. It's where resilience is born. It's where grit is built. You need to start seeing fear as a doorway, not a dead end. On the other side of your fear is everything you want. Confidence, freedom, opportunity, growth. But the only way to get to the other side is to walk through it. And here's what you'll discover. Most of the things you're afraid of are not as big or as powerful as they seem. Fear exaggerates, it distorts reality. But action brings clarity. Once you do the thing you're scared of, you realize it wasn't as bad as you imagined. And every time you face your fear, you shrink its power. You don't need to be fearless, you need to be brave. And bravery is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward in spite of it. It's choosing to believe in your ability to figure things out, even when the outcome is uncertain. It's showing up, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. So the next time you feel fear rise up in your chest, the pounding heart, the shaky hands, the voice in your head telling you to back down, pause, take a breath, then move anyway. Send the message, raise your hand, hit publish, apply for the job, launch the idea. Whatever it is, do it scared. Because the future you're dreaming about is on the other side of that moment. And if you let fear win, you'll never find out what could have been. Fear might always be in the car with you, but it doesn't get to sit in the driver's seat. You do. You get to decide where you're headed and how fast you get there. So stop waiting to feel fearless. Start acting with courage. That's how you make progress. That's how you build your future. Not by avoiding fear, but by walking straight through it. There is no shortcut. No secret hack. No one is coming to knock on your door and hand you the life you dream about. The truth is, if you want a different future, you have to create it day by day, habit by habit, choice by choice. It's not about making one big life-changing decision. It's about making 1,000 small decisions every single day that align with the person you want to become. And the foundation of those decisions is discipline. Discipline isn't sexy. It doesn't give you a quick dopamine hit. It's not flashy or exciting, but it's the one thing that separates the people who talk about their dreams from the people who actually live them. Talent can only take you so far. Motivation will fade. But discipline? Discipline is the muscle that keeps you moving forward when everything else tells you to stop. It's the alarm clock you don't want to hear, the workout you don't feel like doing, the hour of focused work when everyone else is scrolling. Discipline is the bridge between intention and execution. People love to say, "I wish I had more motivation." But motivation is a myth. It's a feeling, and feelings are unreliable. Discipline is what shows up when motivation doesn't. It's what kicks in when your mood says, "Not today." So, it's the part of you that honors your commitments long after the excitement is worn off. If you rely on feeling inspired in order to do the work, you're going to stay stuck. Because most of the time you won't feel like doing the hard stuff. That's normal. The difference lies in whether you do it anyway. Let's break it down. Discipline is saying no to the short-term temptation in favor of the long-term reward. It's choosing focus over distraction, growth over comfort, action over excuses. It's making decisions based on your goals, not your mood. That's hard. But it's also where freedom begins. The more disciplined you become, the more control you have, not just over your habits, but over your future. Discipline is also about integrity. It's keeping promises to yourself. It's doing what you said you would do after the feeling in which you made that decision has passed. And every time you follow through, you build trust with yourself. That trust becomes confidence. That confidence becomes identity. And soon you stop seeing discipline as something you have to do and start seeing it as something that defines who you are. People will try to convince you that discipline is restrictive, that it takes the fun out of life. But here's the truth. Discipline doesn't limit you, it frees you. It gives you the power to build the life you actually want instead of settling for the one that's handed to you. Because without discipline, you're at the mercy of your impulses, your distractions, your bad habits. And those things will never create the future you're capable of. Look around. Every great artist, athlete, entrepreneur, or leader you admire didn't get where they are by accident. They didn't wake up one day and magically find themselves at the top. They got there through relentless, boring, consistent effort, through discipline, through doing the work when no one was watching, through showing up over and over again. You don't have to be extraordinary to live an extraordinary life. You just have to be consistent. You have dreams. That's beautiful. But what are you doing today to make them real? Because it's not your dreams that will determine your future. It's your habits, your discipline, what you choose to do when it's not easy, when it's not fun, when no one's clapping for you. That's what shapes you. That's what separates the people who make excuses from the ones who make progress. So ask yourself, what would the most disciplined version of me do today? And then do that, not tomorrow, not when you feel like it, now. Because every disciplined decision you make is a vote for the future you want. It's a brick in the foundation of the life you're building. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be committed. And that starts with discipline. You get one life, one shot at this. And whether you realize it or not, you are the one holding the pen. Every single day, you are writing your story with the choices you make, the risks you take, and the way you show up for yourself. But here's the truth that most people avoid. If you don't take ownership of your life, someone else will. The world will happily write your story for you. It will push you into a mold. It will hand you a script and expect you to follow it without question. But if you want a future that's truly your own, you have to stop waiting for permission and start taking full responsibility for everything in your life. Ownership means looking at your circumstances, your setbacks, your habits, and saying, "This is on me." Not in a way that beats you down, but in a way that builds you up. Because the moment you take responsibility is the moment you take back your power. You stop blaming. You stop making excuses. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions, and you start building, creating, choosing on purpose. Most people live their lives like passengers. They get on the ride, buckle up, and hope it takes them somewhere good. They go wherever life pushes them, reacting instead of responding, drifting instead of deciding. But passengers don't create their future, drivers do. The people who own their choices, their actions, their growth. The people who say, I'm in charge here, and yes, life will throw things at you that you didn't choose. Pain, loss, setbacks, failure, they're part of the journey. But even when you can't control what happens to you, you can control how you respond. That's ownership. That's the shift from powerless to powerful. You might not be responsible for everything that's happened, but you are responsible for what you do next, for how you let it shape you, for whether you let it stop you or fuel you. Ownership also means recognizing the role your habits, mindset, and decisions play in your current reality. If you're not where you want to be, it's not because the world is against you. It's because there's something inside your daily patterns that needs to change. That can be a hard truth to accept, but it's also the most liberating one, because it means you don't have to wait for someone to save you. You can save yourself. When you take ownership, you stop outsourcing your happiness, your success, your worth. You stop saying things like, I'd be happy if they treated me better, or I'd chase my dream if I had more support, or I'd be confident if I didn't have all this baggage. No, you take all of that energy and redirect it inward. You become your own source of motivation, your own accountability, your own best friend and toughest coach. That's where real power lives, not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. And here's what happens when you commit to full ownership clarity. You start seeing your life for what it is, not what you wish it was. You become honest with yourself about your distractions, your excuses, your avoidance, and with that honesty comes growth. Because once you see it, you can change it. Ownership unlocks freedom. The freedom to pivot, the freedom to reinvent, the freedom to finally stop living on autopilot and start living with intention. You don't need someone to come fix your life. You need to decide that your life is worth taking control of, that your goals matter enough to stop blaming and start building, that your future is something you design, not something you stumble into. And that means waking up every day and asking yourself, what am I doing today to move my life forward? Not in a huge, dramatic way, but in the small, daily choices that stack up over time. Because the truth is, no one is coming to rescue you. No one is coming to hand you the perfect plan, but you don't need them to. You've got everything you need already inside you. You just have to stop waiting and start owning your time, your habits, your attitude, your growth. That's how you create the life you want. Not by wishing, not by blaming, but by owning your story and writing the next chapter on your terms.